Hey, welcome back. Brian here with Stacking Stupid. Today's topic and discussion is going to be the importance of truth and information. And really, when I say importance, you know, actually everything unravels without it. So, and then if we take a step back and we look at what are we doing in our current society, mostly talking about Western culture here in the U.S. because that's where I'm from. So that's where the variety of my foundational exposure is and learning. But it could apply to people all over the world. So truth, okay. I think now more than ever in the information age, the importance of truth is escalating. However, the availability of truth is becoming so muddled and obscured, obfuscated. So if you think about it, even at the core of capitalism, it's based off of an informed consumer being able to make decisions in a marketplace. So, I don't like your product because it sucks. So I'm going to buy something else, and then you're going to, get punished for that sucky product. However, if I don't actually know if your product sucks or not, and I can't tell if it sucks or not, so then, you would say, well, then the consumer has to become informed. Okay. However, what you're seeing is some, not all, but a lot of these companies understand that. And so what they're doing is they're doing, the whole, I really believe, there are great marketing ads and I'm sure there's great people, but I believe marketing in general is ridiculous. It's the purposeful pursuit of elegant misdirection and lying, and sure, there's a component of it which is highlighting, the truths that support your product or whatever you're doing. And then of course there's, minimizing, but it's like, yeah, so you're trying to trick me. You're trying to get me to believe one thing instead of the other. But the reality is going forward, as we look towards our future, the future of our society, truth is really important. And it's impacting us way more because if you go back, I always like to go back many, so before the internet, your truth was the truth that you established within the 100 people that you interacted with, in a daily life, at least for the most part. So, if little Timmy was a liar, first off, he would hate that, he would probably, boy cried wolf, right? But also, I don't know, there was just way more because you're accountable, because you're seeing these people every day. Well, then came, of course, I guess technically, the telephone and maybe newspapers, was a little step, bump in there. But even if you go the Wild West expansion, newspapers, it still took you a while to get information from the East Coast to the West Coast. So you may have still made decisions, it was almost like how we use some of our gossip stuff, where it's like, okay, yeah, but I dealt with that 3 weeks ago. So as we move now to, of course, telecommunications and then the internet, of course. So now, communication is instantaneous, okay? And you could even make an argument that not only is it that fast, but it's also infinite, where, or at least, from our perspective. So we could sit there and keep looking up something. I've been doing a little research, into keto right now. And oh my God, it's endless. And sometimes it supports the same stuff. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay. So let's, unpack this a little bit. So the purpose of science, which I'm a biology major, so I believe very much in science, is to uncover the truth of things, okay? So, and we know that there's going to be conflict, your test didn't show this, but the idea is that we don't take one test. What we do is we retest your test and we retest it, and then over time, if something has been proven, right a whole bunch of times, we kind of move on. A great one for all you people out there who want to argue is gravity. Okay, gravity is clearly a thing. We can measure the acceleration of it. If you want to think that that's not accurate, well then, think about all the things that, we do, like firing a satellite into orbit. You couldn't do that if we didn't know precisely exactly what those variables were and how to overcome them and what we needed to do, for the spin of the Earth to keep that satellite from falling off into space. Okay. Or back down Earth. So, So there is a component where truth becomes pretty close to absolute. Absolute, with the sense of it's extremely functional, it's extremely honest. We might change it a little bit, we might evolve it a little bit, but 100% of the world says, yes, this is a thing. Okay, so take a moment and really embrace that, because I think we get talked into this idea that, well, it's your opinion and it's my opinion. Yeah, what we're trying to do is get away from opinions and get to real truths. That's the actual embrace, okay, is to, yes, we have opinions, and then as we get more information, hopefully those opinions become more and more informed. But, what's informing those opinions is actual details that are not just somebody's say-so, that they've been proven, that they've been tested, that they've been supported by more than just a feeling of, I think this is right. Okay? So we build that back into, economics and our future and our growth. If you think about everything, I don't know, it's just all opinions. It's just all people arguing about opinions. And it's all irrelevant if you're not willing to commit to, okay, but what is our course to getting the truth? And if your answer is, well, truth doesn't matter, well, then you should have already turned this off. But truth is so important. You need it to make the informed decision, okay? Whether that's as a consumer, whether that's as a voter, okay? Whether that's as a, a micro or macro leader. Hell, you need it as a, just as a grunt going to work. If your employer says they're going to pay you $15 an hour, and you're like, oh, that's a good wage, and then you show up and they start paying you $11 an hour. Is that going to change your decision? Absolutely. You might stay, but it's going to affect the decision. So the details are all that matters. It's how we formulate our opinions. And what you're seeing through, or at least what I've observed through a lot of it, is we don't have a true media, but media is out there to get ratings. So what they do is they tell a story that appeals to the people who are watching already. And this makes sense just from a monetary standpoint, because they can retain their viewership and they get people excited and people come back tomorrow. It's like theater. Okay, that's exactly what it is. Because it's making money. But what we need to do is, the very introduction, is we need to be willing to understand, is truth important? I hope the answer, in your mind is absolutely. Okay. So if it is important, then how do we create some systemic things that motivate truth? Maybe penalize, deception. And, if it has to, but we have to, before we can even start moving on any of that, you have to embrace that truth is important. Okay, that we all want, I don't know, the best TV. And if I can't determine what the best TV is because everybody's just lying to me, okay, that's not good for anybody except the company lying. That's it. Okay? And it's not even actually really good for the people working at that company, except maybe the higher-ups who are making a whole lot of money. But the people in the mid to low ranks, once the company gets uncovered as lying, are all going to lose their jobs as the company folds. Okay, so even that, even the company isn't benefiting long term. Okay, so let me know, in the comments if you believe in the value of truth, and let me tie it back into one other thing. Problem solving. Imagine trying to solve a problem if you couldn't believe anything. If you were like, well, I'm trying to figure out the price of, this roll of paper towels. What are our competitors? And you just flat out know that whatever answer you get is a lie. Like, oh my God. You couldn't do anything. You look at a recipe, you're trying to cook, and all the recipes, just a joke. They just made up numbers. It was just random, number generation. Like, holy cow, man. So you need this commitment to truth. I'm not super religious myself, but I think, if you look at the evolution of religion, a lot of it was that moral and ethical codes, and you'll see it repeated, like that lying is bad. It is not good. Okay, so we need to create a system, particularly on the economic side, that does not reward lying. Okay, cool. Stay tuned.